Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today, I have with us, she's the director of a female-led body horror film that's in pre-production right now, and it's called Not All Men, but Certainly All Women. I have with us today Madison R. Scott. Madison, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, I got the chance. You sent me over I would say, the pre-trailer of the movie. It's pretty
Yeah.
intense. But tell my audience a little bit about it.
Okay, so what I sent over to you is going to be used as our Kickstarter campaign video. So essentially, like giving people a little taste of what we're, dishing out. It features my main character making a little sandwich for herself.
Yes.
The story follows a butcher's daughter. Her name is Tala Murphy. She experiences harassment for the first time, something, way too many women I know have gone through. And she starts to see the men around her morphing into pig-human hybrids. And in the final segment of the film, she has to butcher them in order to save her life. And, going back to what she knows best, she decides to, make them into meat and make them into a sandwich. So her Kickstarter video, it was inspired by the Andy Warhol eating a hamburger video. But I was like, okay, what if we take this and just, glorify it? So yeah, it has some of her covered in blood, all bloody, smiling, having a good time eating that little semi-cannibalistic sandwich. And then there's a little bit of me talking about the film and just some of the inspo. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, what gave you inspiration? Besides the obvious, what gave you the inspiration for this film?
I've always been a fan of horror, but I found that it always was a genre that ostracized women or used them as a prop. I never really seen violence kind of go against men. Men were always the villain. They always got to be the monsters were always kind of masculinized. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a real word, but you understand what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted the chance for a girl to have that chance to be wicked and evil and crazy and not even necessarily crazy. I wanted a cathartic moment in horror for women to kind of feel safe in, because I feel like we haven't really had that moment. I think there's been a real renaissance of angry girls in horror the past couple years, like we've seen with Pearl Maxine coming out in a couple of days.
Love them. Can't wait.
Right? And I've always been a big fan of that subgenre, and I thought this would be kind of an interesting scenario to play in, especially due to her being a butcher's daughter. Yeah, I thought that kind of first experience dealing with unwanted sexual attention, I think it's something that every girl can remember that first time that it's happened to them. So I thought this would be kind of a good moment to get experimental with it, get a little bit of catharticism in there, but also maybe a little bit of kind of twisted healing from that moment. I've had a lot of women reach out to me being I've always wanted something like this. I always wanted that sense of escapism. We never get to really have that revenge. You're kind of told to just ignore it and he'll go away, that kind of thing. Yeah.
and it's crazy that you bring some of this up. So I was having a conversation with a filmmaker a couple of days ago, and we were talking about that. If you notice in horror, right, when you think of iconic deaths all the way throughout the history of horror, who are they towards? It's always women.
Yeah.
If you think about every iconic death in any horror movie, it's performed on a woman. But if you think about deaths in horror movies when it comes to men, they're pretty bland. They're pretty boring. They're usually off camera, or he gets his neck broken. But if you think about somebody getting chopped in half with a saw, or skin taken, it's always a woman.
I never thought about it that way, but now that yeah, that's really crazy. I even just recent years, I hear people talking about the Terrifier series all the time, and it's so targeted against women, and some of the craziest deaths I've ever seen in horror films. Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about it that way.
I didn't think about it either until he brought it up. I was like, you know what? That is pretty interesting, and that's 100% true. That you think about every iconic death. I mean, even if you look at the Terrifier movies, which I don't like the Terrifier movies, but if you look at them, it's so anti-woman. I mean, it's so, I hate, it's crazy because feminist women, I've interviewed them and I asked them who's their favorite horror character, and they say Art the Clown.
Yeah.
And it makes me think whoa, because if you watch Art the Clown, he kills men in his movie, but oh my goodness, he takes pleasure in doing these long, awful death scenes to women, like that go on. They're almost like overkill, you know. And but like I never thought of it that way. I'm like, wow, okay, I know the Terrifier series does that, but I think about it, like, oh my goodness, like even if you think about the most gruesome Jason Voorhees kills, it's the woman over the fire, over the campfire, getting hunted down to the sleep camp, or the woman gets her head frozen and smashed on the thing. The most iconic kills are against women.
That's crazy. Yeah. I really think that like the female identity, like women as a whole, have kind of been like reduced to props, definitely in certain like aspects of horror. Not to bring up Terrifier again, but the creator Damien Leon, I was writing the Kickstarter, like the text portion, and he was quoted as saying that like graphic violence against women is sort of like a motif in the slasher genre, and it's like important because it, you know, makes you feel worse for the villain. Like, I don't think we need that necessarily, you know, like why does it have to be against women? Like, you know, men get
it should at least be equal opportunity. It should at least equal opportunity. Yes. So all right, so one of the things, I mean, from the title, not all men but certainly all women, and you talk about this, and this is a true statement. I mean, but this definitely goes with society in general.
For sure.
Anytime you bring up something bad about, you know, the way women get treated or anybody gets treated, the group who feels like they're being attacked, the first thing they say, well, not all fill in the blank.
Yeah.
You know, that's a generalization, you know, not all. And I feel like when people do that, they're saying, I don't want to listen to what you have to say. I don't go along with what you say. I don't want to hear what you got to say. So I'm just going to put this blanket statement out there. And the statement, you know, not all men are rapists, and what's it called? Anytime when you hear a woman complain about, you know, the things that women are doing, and a man says, well, I'm not a rapist, or I'm not a what? No, all men. Of course, we're not saying that all men are rapists and sexual offenders and that. But there's more than enough that is noticeable.
Exactly. I had read a statistic that came out from a UK university recently that said upwards of 97% of women, they took a survey of like 1,000 people, I believe, and it was 97% of them had experienced some kind of unwanted sexual attention in their life. And yeah, I 1,000% agree with what you're saying. I think, oh my God, I'm blanking now. I think it's always that one group that's being like targeted, quote unquote, that doesn't want to hear it. I think that's like the closest they'll ever get to experiencing that like oppression or that ostracization is being called out for it, I think. So I think that's kind of where they want to separate themselves. I seen something in a TV show a long time ago saying like white people getting accused of racism is the closest they'll ever get to racism. And that's why they always freak out when they're on the other side of it. Like when the Me Too movement happened and so many men, their immediate statement wasn't, oh, let me sit down and listen, or, you know, let me talk to the women in my life about it. It was, oh, not all men. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. And I think if it really didn't apply to you, you would be happy to sit there and listen, or just, you know, even walk away.
Nothing. You just not saying nothing.
You don't have to jump in about it, but for some reason you decide to.
Yeah, because if somebody made a blanket statement about black men and say, oh, well, black men are murderers or something like that, I would not be like, well, I'm not a murderer. Of course not. I would not say that. I would be like this. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a weird statement to say. Why do you think that? You know what I mean? And I would ask questions. Why do you feel that way?
For sure. Yeah, that's where the inspiration for the title came from. And honestly, I've got a lot of flack for the title. Some people calling it too long. Some people saying it's sexist. But like, whatever. Yeah, because honestly, it is every single woman I know in my life whether it was just not a simple cat call, but like whether it was a cat call, whether it was rape or sexual assault, like, you know, and every girl I know can come and have that discussion, but for some reason I never see men pointing fingers at other men, whether it's to themselves, you know, taking that accountability, or whether it's like, you know, one of their friends gets called out and they still want to defend him and protect him, that kind of thing. So yeah, I wanted it to have a powerful title.
Yeah, because I mean, listen, I love stuff like this because I mean, most people don't know about, you know, I don't know what the stat off the top of my head, but it's a huge population of women get assaulted in college. You know,
Mhm.
it's a huge population. I pretty much every woman I know was sexually assaulted in college. You know,
Yeah.
there's a huge population of women who are sexually assaulted in the military. You know, they're serving the military and they get sexually assaulted, and those are things that people seem don't want. I don't know if you know it's not put out there or put to the forefront, or if people just don't care.
Yeah, that's definitely a really double-sided topic because I feel like it's while it's getting more normalized to talk about it and come forward and have your story, I still think there's still definitely a survivor's guilt put on people for coming out. And is it that people don't care, or is it like it's too controversial of a topic? It's so double-sided. I don't know. It's really
Yeah,
definitely something interesting to talk about and explore.
it really is. It really is. Now, all right. Now, this movie looks hella gory. Now, now, how much gore are you going to? I mean, are we expecting to see some ruthless, bloody kills in this movie?
I would really like some ruthless and bloody kills. Honestly, I definitely comes down to how well we do in the Kickstarter campaign. Like, if we reach our goal, yeah, let's do the blood, let's do the gore, let's see guys getting sliced up. But if we don't, I'm more than happy to try and get more psychological with it and off camera and more like tasteful montage sequence with her cutting up food and then pig squeals, that kind of situation. But yeah, in an ideal world, I really want to create like a kitschy, campy body horror, like where girls are the ones in charge.
Yes, yes, yes. And I listen. I love anything. I don't know why I like revenge films. I like
Yeah.
revenge films. But like something about a lot of the revenge films when I see when it comes to women, I would say they fall into like the sexploitation aspect where you see the graphic rape and then the woman like I spit in your grave and
I was just
I'm
gonna say, I spit on your grave. Ugh.
yeah and I'm and I literally got a movie that's coming up this evening on that I reviewed. It's called Run B Run. I can't say the actual title, but Run B Run, and it is like that. It's like okay, it's girl power. The woman's winning at it and getting revenge, but she's running around naked and this and that the whole entire movie. And I'm like, what is okay? I get that the woman is getting power at the end, but she just spent the whole entire movie, you know what I mean, just getting abused and
Yeah, absolutely.
used as a sexual object, not only for the characters, but also for the people who are viewing. It's like, whoa, this is a lot going on.
I think that kind of genre, it sometimes can mask itself as like sticking up for survivors and sticking up for women, but then ultimately falls into like that sexploitation kind of thing. Like you mentioned, I spit on your grave, but I also think of the movie Teeth, where
Yes.
yeah, I feel like a controversial take, perhaps, but I feel like had a woman been in charge of that, it could have been phenomenal. It could have been beautiful, like terrorizing. But I see it described as like a movie for boys' night for guys to sit around and laugh at. Like it shouldn't be that, but for some reason it is. One I really love is American Mary. That one does have a graphic sexual assault scene in it, but ultimately she does take her power back in that one. I think it really comes down to people want to say it's always just like the director and the writer's fault, but I think it can come down to things such as like cinematography, things like that, even down to wardrobe. Like, is she clothed the entire time when these things are happening? Like, are we on close-ups? Are we seeing her like in pain? Are we just like in the room? Are we a fly on the wall? Like that kind of thing. I think I don't know where I'm going with this.
It almost like they're trying to make rape seem sexy. I don't know how to explain it, but like or sexualize rape, a rape scene, and it's like weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I mean, I guess there is that like really freaky, messed up target audience out there, but like that shouldn't be that. That shouldn't be the point. I feel like there's not really any art in that, to be honest. Like, as a filmmaker, I don't think that's really creativity. I don't think that's really honoring the craft if you just have to, like, get down to trying to make rape sexy, like you were saying.
so I have a question for you. This is your personal opinion. And a lot of revenge were like women seeking revenge from men. why do they go straight for the dick?
I feel like it's just the most obvious symbolism, you know?
I'm like, wow, like, can you go straight for the dick? Like, I'm like, we talk about teeth, we talk about spinning your grave, you talk about even Hostel Part 2, go straight for the dick. Like, so are we gonna be going straight for the dick, and not all men, but certainly all women?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Good.
Part 1, just because she's a teenager, anything that's kind of like sexual, quote unquote, like there's a scene that was kind of taken from like my own life inspiration about a guy who's like flashes her and starts like jerking off in front of her on the subway. Like obviously none of that would be shown on camera. Kind of want to be like tasteful with that, I guess, as tasteful as it could be. So definitely wouldn't want her going straight for the dick, is because I don't think that would like occur in her head. And then secondly, they are going to be like monsters, and the anatomy, I guess, or the appearance of the creatures hasn't 100% been decided on yet. But I think there would be more like juicy options available, so to speak.
Okay. So the actress who's playing the lead role, now, did you give her a script or anything before she accepted the role, or did you give her an idea on what the film is going to be about, and what was her first response?
Yeah, so for the campaign, she was honestly just one of my friends from film school that I had recently worked with, reached out to her, and I was like, hey, this might be kind of freaky to initially describe, but we're going to have you, like, ideally, if you want this, covered in blood, eating a sandwich. It's going to be like inspired by Andy Warhol, this thing, and like female revenge films, blah, blah, blah. And she was like down, like straight up right off the bat. Okay, yeah, this sounds cool. And I was like, okay.
Because it's so graphic. Like, I'm like, because you sent it to me. You was like, oh, this is going to be my Kickstarter campaign video. I was like, shit, Madison, I think this might be too low to stream for a Kickstarter.
The reactions have been crazy. I showed it to someone yesterday, and they were like, this is literally the most insane campaign video I've ever seen.
I've never seen a shit like that where I was like, what? I think this might be a little too extreme. But, but guess what? It might get for horror fans, and because they get to see some of the horror.
Yeah.
Right there to their face.
Honestly, that actress, what a trooper. That we used fake meat in the sandwiches that she was making, obviously, because we wanted like that real kind of raw meat experience. Yeah, well, yeah. It was mashed up sweet potatoes, mashed up beets, and then a little bit of like tuna straight out of a can in there. And I tried some of it because I wanted to do a bit where I was like, not all men, but certainly all women. Coming soon kind of thing. I threw up immediately in front of my entire crew. Ooh. But she didn't even need a spit bucket. She straight up just like ate that thing while smiling. I was behind the camera like, yes, you go, girl. She killed
True actor, right? True actor.
Yeah, for real.
True professional.
That was crazy. She's an icon for that. Yeah, so we're still in the casting stages for the real thing, so hopefully we can do it. But a lot of people have been applying, like over 50 people have been interested so far, which is kind of crazy to, I don't know, it's such a surreal feeling as a filmmaker to see like something that lived in your head for so long and people that like this is their passion, this is what they want to do, they're applying to like bring your character to life. I don't know, so getting these self-tapes of people like reading the script through, I was like, wow, like she's real.
Awesome. Now, are you shooting and doing the filming in Canada?
Yeah, ideally Toronto.
Okay. Toronto. Love Toronto. There's a lot of indie horror filmmakers in Toronto.
Yes, we love that. We love the scene.
Awesome indie horror filmmakers in Toronto that I made friends with over the years. So Toronto. Shout out to Toronto. All right. So Madison, if you ever watch my show, this is something I do every once in a while. I'm going to ask you 3 random horror questions. This is personal opinion. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. First one. Who is your favorite woman horror villain? I
want to say Pearl. I don't know if she counts as a villain since she's also the protagonist, but Pearl was the first one that came to my head, and if not, Kathy Bates's character in Misery.
Those are good ones. Pearl is absolutely fucking amazing. If you've ever watched my channel, you know I'm an X and Pearl fan. I've been hyping those movies since the beginning, since they came out. Love that movie. Love Ty West. Love that series. Maxine, July 5th.
I'm so excited.
Yes. All right. The second question I'm going to ask you is, what was the first horror movie that you saw that really scared the shit out of you?
I'm going to say the first horror movie I ever seen in general, to be honest, really scared me. I was 8 years old and I saw Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time. Mm-hmm. And then just going to bed, I couldn't do it. I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, no, Freddy, he's coming after me. Like, it really hit home for some reason. Anything with like zombies or stuff like that, I could handle, because I was like, yeah, that's fake. It's just makeup. But like, no, he was in your dreams. Like, there was no avoiding that if he was real.
So fucked up, because you watch that movie and you go to sleep, then like it just goes right into it's the perfect scenario. It's a perfect scenario. Plus, Freddy Krueger is probably the one horror villain that I would not want to be up against. You know what I mean? Because you can't fucking sleep. You can't sleep. Everybody else you can kind of run away from and avoid. How can you avoid not sleeping?
You can't.
You can't. You're going to get killed.
Yeah.
All right. The final question. What horror character do you personally feel like you relate to the most?
I gotta say, not to bring up Pearl again, but Pearl really hit home for me in like a really impactful way. I don't know, just like in my own personal experience, being always kind of like the weird girl who was always excluded, but always wanting to pursue film, always wanting to be an artist, always wanting that recognition, I guess, in order to be understood from people. Like, I've always felt that would come through my art. That was what I want, why I wanted to pursue filmmaking. Like, you know, maybe people will understand me, what I gotta say, if I can finally get my art out. So seeing like this girl doing everything she could in order to make her art and, you know, tour with the dancers, etc., even though she was killing people and like obviously no killing people, but seeing a really powerful, strong, like that obsessive artist, maybe even also like Nina from Black Swan, characters like that. That really hit home for me for sure.
By the way, there's a lot of horror fans out there who do not consider Black Swan a horror movie. I totally do. It's definitely horror to me.
Yeah, I think so. Like, maybe it's more like psychological side for sure, but like, yeah, I was freaked out the first time I saw that for sure.
I definitely thought it was horror, and I could see Pearl. I could see a lot of women, having a. I'm not saying to the point where they're killing people, but they understand where Pearl's coming from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see. All right, Madison, where can everyone find you?
I am on TikTok. My username is Local Angry Woman, or you can find. I've been spending a lot more time on the film's Instagram account than my own personal Instagram account recently. And the app for that one is Not All Men, but Certainly All Women. I was surprised we got the username, but we did.
And do you have any idea when the Kickstarter will be up?
Hopefully sometime this week. If not, early next week. But ideally, perhaps Maxine Day is when we will be launching.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, the Kickstarter is actually already up. So please go and I'm assuming if they go under Kickstarter and just go under Not All Men, but Certainly all Women, that's how to be able to find it.
Once it is up, yes, we haven't officially launched yet. Hopefully sometime this week, but yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Once it is out there, that's how you'll be able to find it.
Awesome. But guys, listen, here it's way past 4th of July, so it'll be up. It's already up. So
okay, cool.
Definitely support. Madison, it's been a blast having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. Really nice chatting with you.
No problem. And I'd love to have you on. Listen, once the movie's out, and by the way, when the Kickstarter's up, the Horror Room will be supporting and helping your film as well.
Oh, so, thank you.
No problem. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I like cannibal movies. By the way, everybody, I'm not a cannibal, but I enjoy a good cannibal movie. I don't know why, I do. And revenge movies. So you got a cannibal and revenge. Boom. I'm sold. I'm sold. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that is Madison R. Scott. We'll see you next time. Take care. Madison, good.